Hello, welcome to Knitting Out Loud. My name is Emily and this is episode 11. This is my channel where I talk about everything that I have been making, and so I'm happy that you're here. I have a few project updates to share today. First, I want to talk about what I am wearing. This is my Camisole number 5 by My Favorite Things, and I made this over a year ago now. This is my first time actually wearing it because I have not been able to figure out the neckline, and I really want to get it right because I love this style of tank top. I think I have my straps figured out here. You can see them a little bit, but where it's high neck, cut in on the shoulders in the front and the back a little bit. I love the style of tank top. I have a few that are not hand knit that I wear all the time during the summer. And I really was so excited to have this in my wardrobe, and I still want it to be. I just have not been able to figure out this neckline. So this is probably a call for help and advice. If you have made this tank top and you run into some of the issues that I'm going to talk about, could you please let me know how you fixed it or what worked for you? I have reknit it twice. I can tell, like, it looks like something even in the middle here, probably where I wove my ends in, just like isn't sitting right. It's making it pull off center one direction or the other. But everything as far as the fit, the length, the sleeves is fine. It's just this double knit neckline that I can't seem to get to lay right. The first time I made it, I'm pretty sure it was user error and I cast on too many stitches. I feel like I had maybe 10 or 12 too many stitches, and I immediately knew after I bound off, like, ooh, this is not right. It was like laying down in the front and just very wonky all over. It was not sitting pretty. And then just this year, I finally went back and redid it. And this time I cast on fewer stitches than the pattern even called for. So I think it ended up being like 12 or 15 stitches less than what I originally had. Bless you, Sarge. My doggy just sneezed. And it looks a lot better, but it's still not great. Like, it was still just laying funny, and it might be my bind off. I forget what the bind off was, but it was one of the ones that are a pain. And I also added elastic to it, and I do think that it helped. It definitely looks better on as far as how it's laying. It's just not great. The other thing is I haven't blocked it with this, so that might be my step one. I guess I don't really want to knit it a third time, but I know that I need to. I just don't want to do it until I know what's going to actually work, and I'm not sure what else to change unless I just do a completely different kind of neckline. I think part of it is that it's just the nature of being double knit, that it's going to be a little weird, and maybe my bind off technique with that particular bind off just isn't where it needs to be for it to look right. And then I could have also potentially gotten the elastic a little too tight. I'm going to show you the back because it is bunching a little bit on the back as well. But I really want this shirt to work. I want to get it right, and I just don't know. I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know how to fix it. So if you have any ideas on how I can fix it, could you please comment below and tell me? Because I would really appreciate any help that you might have. Okay, that's my plea for the day. Now let's get into projects. Oh, the yarn for this is from Sorella. It was an oopsie sale that I got, and I had 2 skeins of it. I still have, I want to say maybe 30 grams left, so I should have plenty to redo the neckline. I had thought about adding some length, but after wearing it, I think I'm actually pretty happy with the length and don't need to make any changes there. First up is my soft current tee. This is in a bag by Artifact. Ooh, I have got to get a different stool for these. I'm on a like wobbly stool that I love for working, but I feel like I'm just constantly rolling around in my chair on these videos. Okay, so last time I had just gotten the V connected. It looks pretty much exactly the same. I have not worked on this much, but I did get, I don't know, an 1.5 inches of the front done. And the yarn is by Yarn Nouveau. It is their Bliss sock base, which is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. It is the color Seaside. I worked on this. I got it to the point where I think I'm ready to pick up the shoulders next, and then I sat it to the side. I got a little distracted by another project that has pulled my attention, and it was Memorial Day weekend last weekend. And just to be completely honest, I was really enjoying the margaritas, which was great for vanilla knitting, not so great for any type of lace chart repeat. Knowing what I've been through already with this top, I just moved on. Luckily, I had the wherewithal to know not to pick it up after I'd had even one margarita. And I was just busy over the weekend, so I didn't have much focus time to sit down and work on this. So it is kind of just hanging out for now. I do plan to work on it over the next few days, this weekend and early into next week, because we have family coming in for about 11 days, I think. And I'm assuming that this is probably going to go into hibernation while they're here. So I'm thinking that I can maybe get through the shoulders before they get here. Then I'll just put it to the side for a while again until I'm ready to pick it up. I talked about this last time. I got into a groove after a first horrible week of working on this shirt and really got into a nice flow. So I don't want to completely lose that flow, because once you've stepped away, excuse me, let me speak for myself. Once I have stepped away from something for any certain amount of time, it's almost like starting over. So I don't want to get too far removed from it, but I also don't want to try and force working on it when we have company and it's something that I need to focus on rather than being present when we have family here. So I've let go of all expectations of when, how, where, why I'm going to finish it, and it will be done when it's done, and I'm going to love having it. So let's talk about my Hocking Hills socks next. Recording these videos has been a funny, observational learning lesson about myself, because in one episode I will talk about my plan and what I'm thinking about doing, and then usually by the time I'm recording the next episode, I've done the exact opposite of that. And these socks are an example. When I first talked about them, I was going to do a fade sock, which I ended up not doing. I did a stripy sock. I also think last week I said that I was in no rush to get them done, and I was just gonna have them around for when I needed a pair of vanilla socks. And then knitting stripes, it just really gets the motivation going. So this is where I was last week. I just had the cuff and one stripe done, and I finished off sock one. I just could not put it down. And this is perfect knitting for when you're drinking margaritas, it turns out. So highly recommend. The yarn is from Dye Mad Yarns. It is a Hocking Hills sock set. They have a Hocking Hills collection on their site, and I think you can get full skeins, like the full collection of it as well. And I got the sock set when we were visiting Ohio in February. I'm from the Hocking Hills area of Ohio, and when we were visiting, I really wanted to get some Ohio dyed yarn for my stash, and so this was just absolutely perfect. Just pulled up their website because the sock set that I got didn't have the individual color names listed on each skein, but I think that I can figure it out from their site. Okay, so the heel, cuff, and toe, I believe, are in the colorway Rock House. And then the lightest gray is Cedar Falls. And then this one, that's kind of an in-between, I think is Conkle's Hollow. And then the darker gray is Cantwell Cliffs. And then this other green that has a little more of the yellow in it is Old Man's Cave. And I used to have all my birthday parties as a kid at Old Man's Cave. not all of them, but I had several like birthday gatherings at the shelter house at Old Man's Cave. And so I don't know, I just love having this yarn and making these socks. It's really fun for me. So I finished sock 1. And then I am on the gusset decreases for the second sock. I think I am almost through. I have a few more decreases to go. And these would make a really pretty fade. I was on the fence, even as I was going through the stripes and seeing how they all played together, that would make a perfect fade. So I think what I'm gonna do with the leftovers, they're gonna go into my jelly roll blanket, and I will do them as a fade when I add them into my scrappy jelly roll blanket so that I can have the best of both worlds. However, I'm not sure that I'm gonna have any left of the color that I'm using for the heel toe and cuff. I'm gonna be playing a little bit of yarn chicken because it was 20 grams and I'm using it for all 3. All right, the only other whip that I brought to show is my mileage blanket because I did get some runs added in. They're in my Flock Fiber Fest tote bag from 2024. I need to see if I can still buy one for this year, pre-order one for this year, because these are the best tote bags for blankets. They're huge. I have 2 yarns attached to this right now, so I'm going to be a little bit careful. Okay, the donut stitch marker is where I was last time. So I have added in 6 and I'm on the 7th run since then. I am making this blanket to keep track of my miles ran in 2026. And each garter stitch, each garter ridge represents a different run. And then the color of the run is the color of the yarn represents the miles of the run, like how long the run was. Does that mean, there's gotta be an easier way to explain that. I don't know. I hope that makes sense to somebody other than me. Okay, so I added this gray, was a 1 mile run. Looks like I had the, oh wait, maybe I was on this nutmeg, Heather. Hold on, maybe I'm on run number 8. So this was 4 miles on my birthday. And then the day after that, I ran a little over a mile. And then the green, this light green is the color pea pod. And that is a 2 mile run. So I ran a 2 mile run. The light blue is Wonderland Heather. All of this yarn, I should say, is from Knit Picks. It is the Swish DK. So this is the color pea pod. It represents the 2 mile runs, which is the light green. So I had one of those, followed by the Wonderland Heather, which is the light blue. That one is 5 miles. And then Pine Cone Heather is this brown, which is also attached to one end. That is 3 mile run. I'm getting confused here. Okay, so I had a 1 mile run, a 2 mile run, a 5 mile run, a 3 mile run, 2 2 mile runs, and then now I'm adding in a 3 mile run. Phew, that was tricky. And then after I get this one in, I have 3 more runs to add before I am caught up. I had let this one get away from me a little bit, so I've had some catching up to do. So I'm excited to be almost caught up on it so that hopefully I can just stay on top of it weekly and then it won't get that far behind. I'm doing just a simple lace transition row between each month. May has been kind of an interesting month for me running wise because at the end of April I finished off a half marathon training block and I didn't end up actually running a race just for logistical reasons. It just didn't make sense for me right now, which is totally fine. I wasn't in it for the race. I just wanted to run with a group and get to that level of endurance running again. And then, so this has been almost like a step back month for me. I ran a 5K and it felt really hard. And I'm like, okay, I've got the endurance built up, and now I kind of want to scale back and work on speed a little bit more. But for the month of May, I'd say that my running has mostly been more social. I have done a couple runs with my husband, and I have actually reconnected with a friend that I grew up with who also lives in Seattle, and we have gotten together a couple times, and that has just been really wonderful and one of the things that I love so much about running. So I'm excited to be doing that and just making sure, I don't know, just not taking it so seriously, I guess, but still having it be a huge part of my life. And I also just started a more of a 10K geared program on Peloton, which I have done. This will be my third time doing it, and I really like it because there is a good bit of speed work in it and a good amount of endurance running where I feel like I can still have a long run on the weekend and have the energy for that. So all that to say, my mileage for May is quite a bit lower than I thought that it would be. I think I will probably end up with like 45 miles in May, which brings me even further behind my overall goal for the year of 1,000 miles. So at this point, I think it would take a lot for me to actually hit 1,000 miles this year, but that's okay. I'm going to have run a lot more than I ran last year, so it's still a win for me. I really went on a tangent for that. I think that's really all I've got going on. Like I said, we have family coming into town next week, so I'm going to try and get through some of this stuff, get some more socks on the needles. I will maybe be doing some more work on my soft current tee before I sit that to the side. And I'm thinking that I can just get a couple pairs of socks going so that they are, like the cuffs are done. And then I can just get going on summer sock camp. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch this. And if you have any tips for my shirt, for the neckline of this shirt, I would love it if you let me know below. So, thanks so much, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.